doing this, and it's making me incredibly happy. I hope it shows up in the recording. I don't know whose dog it is, but
That'll be Neve's, I think.
Thank you for reminding me.
No, not my dog.
Is it not? Oh.
Oh, it's Jacqueline's dog.
Yeah.
Jacqueline, dog is really adorable.
All right.
She has a cute name too. What's her name, Jacqueline?
Oh, letting more people in. So just a reminder, again, this is not a status review. I liken it to like that scene in Jurassic Park from the 90s when, you know, we're in this lab and we're creating baby dinosaurs and you're like in that theater room, just like witnessing and breaking out and just being like, I want to get in there. Except in this instance, we're not growing dinosaurs. We are enabling financial aid for students. So I'm going to pass the mic over to you, Elise.
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. So I wanted to tell you guys a few things. So first of all, I wanted to tell you that although this isn't a status report meeting, we had set out for ourselves a certain number of tasks to accomplish in this sprint, and we are almost there, accomplishing all of them. So really feeling really pleased about that. If you're a total agile geek nerd, then what that means is that our velocity is very good. And I can show you all kinds of little charts and tell you what that means. But it really means that we are accomplishing what we set out to accomplish over the last 2 weeks. And I just want to say that that's a big deal. It's been a long road for a lot of these things, so it's just a huge testament. I also wanted to let folks know that what you're going to see this morning, we're not showing you, just a reminder that we're not showing you the final product. We're showing you the current product, and we're going to continue to build on it, and we're going to continue to enhance it. So if you're seeing something that maybe doesn't look as pretty as you'd expect it to be, or you think the wording on it is a little bit off, that's okay. You're welcome to give us some of that feedback at the end of the meeting, and we can take that into consideration. But we're not done. This is just showing you what we've got so far. As I mentioned, we've scheduled the meeting for an hour and a half, but we are hoping not to need a full hour and a half. We thought really this is a 1 hour meeting, and then we scheduled the other half so that we could have time if you'd like to talk about stuff, if you want to go into it. Myself and a couple other folks will definitely stay on, but just so folks know, you probably will get back half hour in your day. And then the last thing I wanted to tell you is that it's been a little bumpy. And I wanted you to know that, because we're going to try to present to you what looks as though it's super easy and we're just gliding along in this very simple path. And I can tell you that it's not simple. A lot of folks on the call today are involved in lots of different meetings, so I think they've experienced the really exciting dialogue and the challenging of each other and bumping into things and going, okay, there's 17 different paths that we could choose and they're all good. Which one do we take? And so this isn't easy. So I did just want to flag for folks that you might see a little bit of that messiness, and that's okay. We're okay with that. We're going to be a little vulnerable there, and that's all right. And so just ask you to give us a little grace with that as well. This is our first demo. And so we're going to show you what's been built over the last 2 weeks, and we're going to tell you what that is. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what the next 2 weeks is going to involve. And then there's an opportunity for questions around that. So thanks so much, and I will pass it back to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Elise. Actually, I was going to see if you wanted to talk about personas and
sure.
Matt.
Sure. So, okay. So Katie does such a good job of this, so I'm going to try to channel my inner Katie about personas. So we have a lot of different students and a lot of different attributes of students who apply for funding in our programs. And so what the team has done is created 6 student personas that are meant to represent different groups of students going through the process. They do not represent every single attribute, every single exception, but they allow us to put a name to this student that's going through the process. And to start with, we're showing you Matt. As I mentioned, we have 6 personas. So this particular one is Matt. Matt is a 35-year-old independent student who's going to Spratshaw on a 1-year program in a full-time nursing program. He does not have kids, and he is not in a relationship or a common law relationship, but he does have PD status. So it just gives you a bit of a sense as to what the journey is like for him. Now, hopefully the journey, the stuff that we're going to show you today is pretty much the same. It doesn't matter whether you're Matt or Ram or Felix or whoever the personas are. Signing in and logging into the system should be a similar experience for everybody. But as we get a little further down the journey, you're going to start to see where we're going to show you Matt's journey with an application, which may look different than another student who has different attributes about them. And maybe he needs to fill out a PD disability where someone else doesn't need to. So we've started to try to organize our flows in that way. So this is Matt's journey right now, and then we'll flip to another persona. And of course, by the end of all of this, we need to make sure that we have a system that works for all of the students that apply for funding.
Yeah, and so Elise, do you want to quickly just say like why Matt was chosen? Is it because he is like the fact that he's single and has no dependents is our most common type student, would you say?
Yeah. So we tried to go with what you'll often hear referred to as happy path. What's the easiest route to take first, and what's the route that most people are going to go down? And so we thought Matt might be a little bit representative of people that are independent, that aren't married, and don't have kids. And let's take Matt and walk it through. So that's where you're going to see Matt, but there's going to be other personas as we go through, and we'll introduce our friends to us as we go.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Roop. Roop's gonna, I don't know, are you gonna show us that little presentation that you showed our team about where students have come from? Oh, you're on mute.
Of course I'm on. Of course I am. So yeah, I think where I'll begin is,
where was everyone's "you're on mute" cup that I'm so there we go. Thank you, Elise.
There you go. All right, first of many, I'm sure, in this one meeting. Okay, so where does the student come from? So one thing that we wanted to ensure that we were understanding, now that we have Matt as our primary persona for now, when you get into our system, what's going through the mind of a student, and thinking about who that student is. So in this case, it's 35-year-old Matt. He's probably seen a few things in his day, applied for a few things in his day. But some of our students maybe haven't dealt with government before, maybe haven't dealt with putting forms together like this before. So let's talk a little bit about thinking like a student and how users onboard into StudentAid BC right now. Okay, so looking at that, basically to get into StudentAid BC and apply, we require a BC services card. So let's walk through that process a little bit so we can kind of get a mindset of that student when they come into our system. And really what this equates to is how simple does our system need to be off the bat so we don't really lose them. Their eyes are already glossy when they get to us, most likely. All right, so what did we learn through all this? About 80% of our onboarding for a new user is setting up your BC services card, because the majority of people haven't done it yet. Not scientifically measured or verified, don't quote me on that. Okay, so now going into the onboarding experience and how that all is going to play into this. So you're going to head to the StudentAid BC website and go, okay, well, you know, I actually need to apply for StudentAid. How do I begin that process? So quick show of hands, do you know where the sign up button is? Unmute quick. Can you spot it? It's over here in the middle. It's kind of, there's a lot going on, but it's here, it's there. There's 2 little spots there. Once you get into the next page, there's a lot going on, but you're mostly here to register. So you click on login register. Now you need to click on register again over here. Now it's time to go to BC services card. This is external to the StudentAid BC. You're gonna hit get set up because you don't have one yet. So let's do that. And yeah, this is just kind of like how you get here, the process thing, out of order, my bad. So once you get in here, you're going to go ahead and log in. Click back here. StudentAid. You want to set up your mobile card? Okay, sure. How do I do that? Now you're on the website, but you're setting up a mobile card, so you're going to switch to your phone soon. Okay, so I see a QR code, so I'm going to get my QR code app out, my camera app, whatever. Click on this. Where does it take you? Loading. Here. So now you're on a kind of optimized, not so optimized screen. You got to scroll down a bit to get to the real meat of the page. Here we are. I'm on an iPhone. Let's go ahead and download from the App Store. Now I have to go to the App Store and I have to download from there. So now I need to remember my iTunes password or my Apple password, do the whole login, do the whole download, get this thing loaded up. Here we are. Okay, almost there, guys. Right? Not really. Let's go ahead and take it a bit further. Notifications. Okay, yeah, sure. Privacy information. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Let me go dig through my wallet, find my services card. Okay, I can scan. That's pretty cool. Scan my card, allow access to the camera. Great, I've done that. I enter my email address because that's important. Now I'm going to get an email address verification. Okay, I'm going to go do that. I go to my email. There's a code. I'm going to copy and paste it. So I go to copy and paste. Oh, not quite. I got to go back. That didn't work out so well. So I got to go back in there and like fix it. Almost. Okay, got it. There we go. Good to go. Continue. Great. Okay, so I got to verify now. So I'm going to go with the video call option again. Very cool option. And again, this isn't me pissing on this process at all. I think it's a very streamlined process compared to what it used to be. I just want to put you in the mindset of a new student. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go talk to a dude. Take a photo of myself. Hey, there I am. Okay, cool. Take the photo. Yep, sounds good. Waiting for an agent. Have a nice conversation with this guy. He was really friendly. I really had a good time talking to him. And it was a quick, what do you need? You're just verifying? Yes, I am. Okay, great. Thanks so much. Is that everything? Yes, it is. Have a great day. Have a great day. Okay, here we go. One moment, please. I'm ready. I can finally log in. So now I can use my mobile card. All right, so I'm going to enter my pairing code because this is what I need to get from the website. So now I need to go to the website and hit login and come back to the website. Okay, I can view all this stuff. I'm getting notifications throughout this, so the onboarding is a little bit still jagged, but okay, cool. So now that that's all happening, I need to confirm some stuff. So that's that code that I showed. So I'm jumping back and forth between platforms from my phone to my desktop computer, back to my phone, back to my desktop computer, if that makes sense. So now, okay, I'm going to log in for the first time. Do you want to remember this device? Sure. Okay, there's some of my information. If you see my SIN number, please don't write that down. Here you go. So I'm going to start my process. Now I can finally sign up. So we're signing up for the actual StudentAid BC app itself after all of that. So I'm kind of tired, I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to go through all this stuff, put in some information. I'm in. We did it. So that's exciting. So claps in the background for that. So we're in now. And now I can start my application process. So when we're showing all this great stuff, I just want to make sure that we have this in the back of our mind. I'm on page 60 of my presentation here. 60 clicks, 60 taps, 60 changing my view from my phone to my desktop. There's a lot going on here. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we all understand that. And I think a lot of us have seen this process before and have done it themselves. So when it's off on its own and you're just doing it to do that process, it seems like it's not too bad. But at the same time, we just need to make sure that we're understanding this valid viewpoint of people coming in. Let's go ahead and look for Camosun College. Yep. Get into the process. Now we're into the form, and this is where we step in and can really modernize this a little bit. So what did we learn? We learned that this is a long process, tedious process. Students don't do this kind of stuff often. And in this day and age of TikTok and 20-second clips and Instagram and all that kind of good stuff, this is going to take a lot. So that's all I wanted to share.
So how can we make it easier? So
Exactly.
I'm actually going to take your screen back, group. Thank you for dragging us through that bringing us through that so that we can have some empathy for the student when they arrive at our front door. Where is this? Is what I want to show you. So Roop and his team, we have a whole UI team that assists Roop and all this stuff, has developed a simple login flow. So Roop, do you want to just continue and continue us through this process?
For sure. So this just kind of outlines exactly what I just showed you. So we're going to visit on the left-hand side there, we're visiting the StudentAid BC website. We're going to decide to log in or sign up. Similar process, most likely a singular page that has sign up information as well as login stuff. And then, yeah, we're going to have to go out, step off into an external process. So that services card. So that entire flow is that those two purple diamonds in the middle there. That happens. And then we kind of get into our initial onboarding, and subsequently, if you've done that and you come back to log in, you get taken right to our dashboard. And so, yeah, this is really the simplified flow of what's happening here. The questions and stuff, we'll get into that in a later day, and I'll share that with you guys. But I just wanted to share the overall high-level login process. And yeah, as we go through the different sections of this, I'll be sharing with you similar kind of flowcharts like this to show the process as we go through. And yeah, so that's really all I just wanted to show with you guys today.
Thank you, Roop. Okay, and so now we get into the actual meat and potatoes as to why we're here, which is the product review. So just to recap here was this kind of the scope that we were focusing on for this past 2 weeks, which was students can register for a StudentAid BC account. They can authenticate their identity with BC Services Card. They can provide their address in SIN. They can view services card information, create an account, update their contact information, and maybe just about 5 minutes before this call, we might be able to show you that they're able to update information on their account and do subsequent logins. So I'm actually going to pass the mic over to Schwenker, who's going to walk us through that flow.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So let me share my screen here. I'm just gonna share that whole screen because I'm probably going to have a few windows. Okay, let's get to it. So first thing, you're going to be going to our test environment here, which you will reach a landing page. Very simple process.
They can't see your screen.
I'm not sharing?
Maybe you are. Can anyone else see his screen?
No.
Yeah, let's try switching monitors.
Head shakes. Good.
Do you want me to call help desk?
Please, is there tech? How's this? Is this better?
Nope.
Can you see it now?
No.
Hit the share button again.
I am sharing. Share maybe just a window. Maybe it doesn't like you sharing screen on this. Well, this one.
So this is very, very tactical and very strategic, right? Andrew is making himself accessible as the DevOps specialist so that everyone on the call can really identify with his challenges. We're all very committed at TBTB to looking like we don't know how to use Teams, just so that, you know, people in the business areas are feel cool, feel okay about it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Would it have to do with the fact that there's so many other people on the call that you're having trouble grabbing the screen, or the fact that I'm recording?
Showing it's sharing. It's got the red border and everything.
Do you want to give it a leave the meeting, come back to the meeting, exit Teams?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'm starting again in TBTB. We're starting with the turning it off and on method again.
Yeah.
just blow on it.
Yeah.
Versus the kicking it method. Yeah.
Yeah.
There he is. Should we let him in? Okay, fine. You
really
can come
can't beat turning it off and on.
If there's something.
Hey.
Oh.
There we
Turning
go.
off and on always
Woo-hoo!
Perfect. So, okay, we have our landing page here. Again, very simple. We have two buttons. You can either log in or register. So we are going to register for a new account, which takes you to BC Services Card to log in. You will notice that there's an extra button here than what you might be used to. In production, this button will not be here. Just if you were confused by this extra button, it's just how we log in using a BC Services card, not in production. So from this, you can either set up or just log in if you already have one. So I've already set up my mobile service card. So I'm going to log in with a user here. And this would be a mobile service card in the future. This is the information that our application will be receiving. And here we have our initial complete your account page. As you see, this information here is grayed out. You cannot change it. It is from BC Services card directly. None of this information you can change. And there is a nice little page here where you can click this to go to change your BC Services card information if you need. So if you do try and save this right now, you will see that fields are mandatory. I will just need to grab a SIN number while that's loading. So I'm just going to put in a phone number here, the classic 555-555-5555, 23 Fake Street, and where you live in Victoria, BC, in Canada, and V9B1Q1. And as you see, the social insurance number is still not valid. If you do put in a fake SIN number, it will say it is not a valid SIN number. But if you put in a real one, page is just loading here.
Anyone want to volunteer their SIN number? No?
607 683 786. You see,
Yeah, Andrew.
her message goes away, and we're going to say profile. So as you see, student was successfully created, and this is just the landing page after you've logged in. So this page, obviously, as you can tell, is not done yet, but this is now you have an account and are logged in. You can go to profile and change your information. Same thing applies, except you will notice SIN is not here. Because privacy, we can't have that there. Same thing if you don't put in a box, you can't save your information. And if you change something, your information will be saved and you can go back. Now, if you go back to the page, that's going to say, so I didn't clear my cache because I had multiple incognito windows open, but I basically just went back to the page and you'll see this student has been created. And yeah, did I miss one here?
So you were just going through subsequent login, is that right? Just there?
Yes.
Yes.
I can do that from scratch. Not a problem. 1 second here.
Okay, so to recap, they can authenticate their identity with services card. They can register for an SABC account. They can provide their address and SIN. They can view but not update their services card information in the account. And by providing all of that information, they can therefore create a StudentAid BC account. And from there, they have options to update that information. And finally, students can subsequently log in.
Correct.
You have a
Got
question
it.
to chat, Michelle?
I have a question in the chat. So this data is being saved to SFAS right now?
No.
That's-
So
yeah.
all this data is being stored in our OpenShift Postgres database, not in SFAS.
Makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna actually flip over to questions on that for a little bit. Does anybody have questions about the login BC Services Card authentication process? Nikki.
Hi guys, just have a question for you around the decision to have the email address come over from Service BC and not be editable by the student. When was that decision made? And why, please?
So
the thought.
when,
Go ahead,
so
sorry.
Nikki, I just want to make sure I understand your question. So when we use the BC Services card to authenticate, they are the master holder of that information. And so students can't edit it in our system. They would need to go to the BC Services card to edit it. So that is, and I believe, if I'm correct, that's the current state as well. Students can't edit their information now.
They can, the email address is not included in that information. Yeah, they cannot edit their tombstone, their name, their date of birth, and their gender, but it would appear that a decision has been made to include the email address. And
yeah, Jamie, do you want
to? Yeah, I can take that one. I know. Sure. So we require email verification as part of the process. So as a service that was enhanced in the last while, as part of the service card onboarding, now you actually do email verification. So we can do the email verification, meaning it connects the people. For those who don't know, that means, like, the whole loops back. You got to click on the thing. It's done through the service card thing. So when we get that email from them now, we know that they're in control of it. It's been verified as an email from them. So when they want to change that, they just have to change it through the service card thing, and the next time they log in, we'll get it. So it's a method for us to get verified email, basically.
And
typically, you're not going to have verified email, though, for people who don't use the services card. So then that puts it on the staff to have to ask.
But we're only talking about the service card right now. Like, this is just in today's demo, I guess, right? So we have, there'd be whatever we do for exception handling and whatnot, but for service card users, we can take advantage of the email verification provided by the service card, which is also being used by other services as well, like the Ministry of Health and all the others, as a central source of a citizen being able to update their email address and have it verified from the center versus in all the different applications.
Yeah, so just to confirm that this is not a policy decision that this team made. This is a policy decision that aligns with best practices for digital identity management that was made in the center. So this is just part of leveraging the services card as the identity verification.
So would it not be appropriate that the business area at least gets to review that and see if that's the way they want to go? Because now we'll end up with two processes. For those with and without your physical mailing address, we can have them edit on our dashboard. But when it comes to updating an email address, they have to go somewhere else. It's just a thought. Yeah, I wonder if this conversation had been had or not. If it has, well, great.
Yeah.
Has it been had with the business area? My apologies. I'll clarify. Yeah. Has it been had with the subject matter experts in the business area?
Yes. At least you can take it at least.
Sorry, Nikki, I think, yes, we did have this conversation and Perfect. To Caitlin's point and and to Jamie's, the decision was made. It was raised.
It was, that's all I want to know.
Someone's it was. Yep. And because, yes, it feels a little clunky, but when we look at it in a broader sense, that the BC Services card is being used, like Jamie said, as a login process or an ID verification process for multiple government organizations, it makes most sense if you're changing one of those 4 pieces of data that you change it at the source and then it translates to all of those portals. But yes, I raised it.
Perfect. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Nikki. Is there any other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts of encouragement?
So it's Elise. Can I just add that I think what Nikki's suggesting is something that we can take for feedback for the next demo, which is about what are some business context information that we need to provide before we do the demo, because that was new. And so for some folks, it might have been a bit of a shock. So if we could help mitigate that, I think that would be better. So we'll take that and make sure that we're highlighting some of the key pieces before we go into the demo, because that was probably a bit of a surprise for some folks, because that is new information. And that's a new process that the BC Services card. So we'll make sure to do that next time in the next demo.
Yeah, excellent point. So just to kind of recap, there was a decision that was made that to focus on Happy Path, and meaning that, potentially 80% of students log in with services card. And so we're just only going to focus on that right now and all the functionality that BC services card provides. And even though there's exceptions to the rule where students can log in with BCEID, we've decided not to focus on that yet because it impacts not the majority of students. So we just wanted to make sure that we got the majority of students at heart first. And then focus on those exceptions later in order to speed up the process of development.
Well, I just got a question in the chat. So
Awesome.
From those 60 clicks that we showed, are there going to be less steps now? Short answer is no, there's still going to be 60 steps, but the whole idea is in knowing that they're going to have 60 clicks to get into our system is that we're going to try to mitigate as many steps as we can at the front of the onboarding process. So when you come into our system, what's the minimum amount of information we need to take from you to get you logged in? And then maybe we can offload that onto the application itself. So then you're providing more of the information then rather than upfront. So yeah, the biggest thing, and I'll get into it the next time we demo, is how do we get them to complete in terms of the application with the least amount of information they need to provide. So I'll get into that a little bit the next time, but yeah, it's kind of, we're working within a system that's in place already. And it helps us speed up our developments, but yeah, the 60 clicks are still there for now.
For now, I was going to say, unless that organization steals Roop from us and then he goes and cleans up that process.
Yeah, and can I just add that those 60 clicks are, I mean, it's cumbersome. However, I would also say that process is what is replacing the old take your ID and head down to a local post office and come back. So as much as it seems a bit cumbersome, and of course, Roop's done an excellent job of presenting it, you know, in that kind of awkward way, that process is something that takes now 5, maybe 10 minutes in total versus before there was other steps. So it's an improvement, and we certainly do meet regularly with what's called the IDIM group, which is through Citizen Services, to help advocate for improved service delivery for students. And they have continued to make improvements on this process. So for example, Roop showed he was able to speak with the worker. Before, you actually had to go down to the office and get yourself authenticated. So they've improved that from don't come to the office, not just because of COVID, but because now we can have someone just answer your call. They've also improved it to say, not only can we answer your call, but if we're not there when you call, send us a video. So they've done some real improvements there. So, but that one's out of our scope. So once they have that done, then they come to us. But we need to appreciate the whole journey of the student and to influence what we have influence over.
Awesome.
Any other questions from folks? So we've showed you someone signing in. You've seen that it's not beautiful yet. It's not final. It's not going to have little writing in the top left-hand side. But we're starting to show you that once they've authenticated, here's how they go into the system. Not hugely different than what they do now. If you've been authenticated and you have a StudentAid BC account, and then they can go back. But what you're starting to see is that there's some information about the student that is captured and held in their account and that they have access to. And that they can do some things with. And that's going to be really important because as we move forward into the next sprint, you're going to see more information that we capture there that historically we would have captured in an application. So big changes.
I see that we have a question from Harry.
Hi, yeah, if you're not going to store the data in SFAS, it's likely SFAS won't be replaced for several years yet. How are you going to keep the addresses, email, etc. up to date if you're storing the data somewhere else?
So Harry, good question, but the plan is to replace SFAS at the end of, as we introduce this new system. So we are building with that in mind, that this system will replace SFAS and that new applicants will have their information pushed into this new system. Existing folks, we need to figure out how do we migrate their data over. So I don't know the answer to that yet, but our vision is that when we introduce this new system, by, I don't exactly know a date yet, but by June of 2022, that we will stop using SFAS for the collection of information, and it will be archived. That's definitely the plan.
Jamie, Andrew, Schwenker, do you have any further comments on that? Elise answered it perfectly. Okay, wonderful. Is there any other questions? Harry, I see you still have your hand up. Did you have a follow-up question? All right. Okay, guys. Unless there's anything else, I'm going to pivot us back over to some of the goals that we're planning on working for Sprint 2, with a caveat that our sprint planning session isn't until this afternoon. So this is just some preliminary conversations that Elise and others have had to kind of get our focus for next sprint. So I'll let you talk to Elise.
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. So yeah, we are going to try, our thinking is that we would continue to go down the path, particularly Matt's path. We're going to use that persona. And so the idea is that over the next 2 weeks, we're going to build the ability for students, or in this case, Matt, to initiate a financial aid application. And you'll notice that I'm using that word very, very intentionally, an application. So we're not talking about a separate full-time and a separate part-time and all that. We're talking about an application, and that he will be able to provide the personal information that we need to collect. We're not going to build the whole application in the next 2 weeks. It's just not possible. So we've broken the application down into different parts. And the first part that we're going to work on is that personal information. So as you can see here, things like marital status and dependents, and were they a former youth in care, are they Aboriginal, some of that information that we need to capture. And then we're going to store that on their account. And that's what we're going to be focusing primarily on. Of course, if they stop there at the personal stuff and then they come back to it the next day, they need to be able to save that draft application. So we want to build that, and also make sure that students can log out, because they might step away and come back to it the next day. That's the actual functionality. So that's what we're going to work on and hopefully demo for you in 2 weeks. We're also going to be continuing to do some work on our engagement strategy. So we're starting to work out, how are we going to run this by students? How are we going to run this? What students are we going to run it by? Those kinds of things. We also are aiming to do what's called a design challenge. And essentially it's where we put some time aside to meet as a group and dig into something that we just don't know what we're going to deal with. We're not sure how to deal with that. So it gives us a chance to have some creativity and innovation about, okay, let's just think differently about this. So we need to develop our design challenge for the next 2 weeks. And then as far as the user stories go, just to give you an idea, we're going to continue to work on the user stories, writing up as much as we can, because we need to figure out, okay, what's the next sprint? 2 weeks goes by super fast. What are the next sprint? What are the stories that we need? And what's going to be in that? So that's what the last couple of bullets are talking about. And I don't know that yet. That's something that we'll have to start to sort out. But at this point, I anticipate, throwing it out there, this could change. This is the value of Agile, but we probably want to continue down Matt's journey, maybe, where we say, okay, now maybe Matt needs to provide financial information or other information on his application. The other route we might take, don't know for sure. Okay, well, maybe instead of Matt applying, what if Ram applies, or what if Felix applies? So starting to look at it from our other personas. So not sure which route we're going to take, but that's something we'll have to sort out in the next 2 weeks so that we can get ready for Sprint 3.
Does anybody have any questions or comments about that or our approach moving forward?
I just want to say, like, wow. Thank you, Andrew and Roop, for showing us. And Elise, the storytelling around Sprint 2, I'm so excited. So I just,
it's gonna be
really
cool.
Really great. Yeah, yeah.
I just realized that I forgot to to pass the mic back to Schwenker for a second because he was gonna, not only have we developed some stuff, well, there's something locked. They did some other stuff. I don't know if you want to talk about it, Schwenker.
I can touch on a couple points just quickly. I won't go through some demoing stuff probably because it sort of glaze over topics for most people. But so something we've done right out of the gate is building for development automation. And what I mean by that is making a lot less headache when we're developing things to basically being able to get code deployed and out the door quickly, which is why we've been able to do so much already. So when like Michelle and Elise were saying, as of like 5 minutes before the meeting, that was from like fresh, not even deployed to dev, and we got it deployed to dev, tested, and then up in test in like 5 minutes. Some pretty skookum speed there. Building for resiliency is another quick, which is another good one that we're doing right off the get-go, which is things like our database and the API and our front-end application are using, we'll call them multiple, you can think of one like computer threads, but basically like as long as one of them's still running, the application will automatically recover. So if there's some actual like server issues on the back end, unless the entire thing goes down, our application will keep running and then basically auto recover to a point. And then building for scalable and adaptability, that's just one of the principles we've been following right off the get-go, where everything that we're doing is able to be built upon and adapt to needs.
Yeah, awesome. Any questions about that? Okay. And then finally, Elise referenced a design challenge. And this might help lend some context around the decision around applications, but we had a group of innovative thinkers in the room about some of the current state, problems that we have and how can we make it easier. And so everyone got likes, these little blue ones, and then everybody got super likes, which was the green ones. And we all liked that. We wanted students to just tell us about themselves first. And we focus around eligibility on the background, that we didn't impose necessarily multiple applications to them up front. We just asked them about themselves. So that was a little bit of an innovation that we had come out of that. It was only a 1 hour session, but that's something that we're working towards. Okay, guys, that's our dog and pony show for you. We kind of need to head back to the lab to keep moving forward. But before I do, is there any other questions or comments that you have? Awesome. So that was
just wanted to flag that silence is acquiescence. Remember, and that we have no idea whether you're smiling or whether you're grimacing or anything like that. So just really appreciate your feedback. And it's okay if you're going, yeah, let me think about it, and I'll tell you some more tomorrow. So you're welcome to send feedback to the mod email or to reach out to any one of us as well and talk about it at any time.
mod@gov.bc.ca. On the other end of that
correct.
is Adrian Steele, who will curate your questions and send it to the right person. Likely it'll be Elise.
Yeah. I want to say thank you as well, and just highlight that this is one of my favorite parts about Agile, is that we get to see what you're building as you build it in these sort of small bite-sized pieces, and so really appreciate you putting together this presentation and bringing us into the process. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rebecca. I appreciate that. Okay. Great. Thank you so much, guys. We won't take any more of your time. We know you have busy jobs, so we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Great. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, team. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Really